1117.
More and more alternatives to the traditional gasoline engine are arriving almost daily. But for consumers, more options don't make the choice any easier. Hybrids, flex fuel, diesels, which is best on the wallet and on the environment? Well, the best way to answer that is to drive them all. And that's just what we did on a road trip that we call the Motor Week Clean Power Drive. Destination Morgantown, West Virginia, home to the National Alternative Fuels Training Consortium, as well as West Virginia University's Challenge X Team Workshop, both high on our list of places we wanted to visit. To get there, we rounded up 3 pairs of vehicles: the 4-cylinder subcompact Honda Civic in both gasoline and hybrid forms, the midsize Mercedes-Benz E-Class luxury sedan with gasoline and BlueTech diesel V6 power plants, and from Chevrolet, the brand new 2-mode Tahoe hybrid 4x4 SUV, as well as a flex fuel version capable of burning either gasoline or E85, both with V8 power. Our Motor Week crew was joined by guest drivers from the U.S. Department of Energy. None had previously driven the BlueTech diesel, but once underway, it quickly became a favorite and debunked forever the myth that all diesels are dirty, loud, and slow.
Driving the diesel Benz did change my perception of them. It was much quieter than perhaps I thought it might be going in.
I particularly like the BlueTech diesel. It was a nice combination of power and fuel economy.
Our test fuel economy of 32 miles per gallon for the E320 BlueTech is 6 miles per gallon better than the gas E350's result of 26. Base price for the BlueTech, however, is remarkably just $1,000 higher. And that bargain holds up over the long haul, too. Fuel cost per mile driven equals 17.5 cents for the diesel and 20.4 cents for the gas burner. In a typical 12,000-mile year, that's about $350 in fuel savings, despite the higher cost of diesel. In addition to our standard fuel economy loop on all the cars, for the Civics and Tahoes, we were able to measure on-road emissions thanks to the technical wizards at Sensors Incorporated and their SimTech mobile emission analyzer. This is the very latest technology and gives a very clear picture of how green our fleet really is.
EPA has determined that in some cases, vehicles emit 2 to 3 times what they normally would under laboratory conditions in the real world. Now we can get real-time emissions results. Vehicles as they're normally operated in the field. So it could be any kind of vehicle, construction equipment, agricultural equipment, as well as your everyday drive-to-work kind of vehicle.
And no car represents the working-class commuter sedan better than the Honda Civic and Civic Hybrid. For our money, you really can't go wrong choosing either, but we'll do the math anyway. Both cars fill up on regular gas, but the hybrid, as expected, holds a huge economy advantage in city driving and a modest lead on the highway. Our 157-mile mixed loop yielded 35 miles per gallon for the EX and 48 miles per gallon for the hybrid, a 37% improvement. Cost per mile comparisons favor the hybrid as well at a stingy 8.7 cents versus a still frugal 12.6 cents for the standard gas powertrain. After tax rebates, the Civic Hybrid will set you back about $1,600 more than a comparable EX sedan. But you can expect annual fuel savings of over $450 to fairly quickly offset that. SimTech emissions testing clearly shows the hybrid is a more eco-friendly choice, especially in city traffic. But the numbers for the gas EX are also quite low.
When you needed power, the hybrids gave it to you right away. There wasn't any hesitation. It just performed flawlessly.
Until now, we would never use the words Tahoe and fuel efficient in the same breath. But that was before GM's new 2-mode hybrid system was placed under the hood. On our test loop, we achieved 21 miles per gallon in the hybrid and 19 in the standard Tahoe burning gas. A separate loop in the same truck with E85 in the tank returned no better than 14 miles per gallon. The gap was much wider in city-only driving, with the hybrid holding an advantage of 8 to 12 miles per gallon over the FFV. In terms of fuel cost per mile, the hybrid leads with a figure of 18.3 cents, followed by the gasoline FFV at 22.9 cents and trailed by the E85 at 27.7 cents per mile. Of course, there is a price to pay for this technology-induced efficiency. $51,095 for a four-wheel drive Tahoe hybrid after tax credits, or about $4,000 more than an FFV Tahoe loaded up to the hybrid's high level of standard content. That extra cash would buy a lot of gas and even more E85. But we expect SUV buyers to embrace these clean behemoths and choose green over greenbacks. Choosing the hybrid Tahoe will save about $550 in annual fuel costs compared to the gas FFV, or $1,100 versus E85. The SimTech emissions test shows the E85 Tahoe is cleaner than gas overall. But in the critical greenhouse gas area, highway CO2 emissions, the hybrid was markedly better despite its bigger 6-liter V8.
It's a very large vehicle, of course, but performed well, and I've never realized that a hybrid would perform so well in such a large vehicle.
I thought the cylinder deactivation feature on both of them was really nice. It really doesn't make sense to be driving on all 8 cylinders when you're going downhill and coasting and things like that, so I thought that was nice on both of them.
Choosing a vehicle based solely on the bottom line is denying a big part of the equation. If you drive only in the city, then a hybrid makes great sense. Out on the open road all the time, then we might opt for a torquey, quiet diesel instead. The gas versus E85 question depends a lot on fuel availability and whether ethanol prices continue to undercut gasoline. But we shouldn't overlook the fact that ethanol is renewable and cleaner burning than gas. You can't put a price on cleaner emissions and our nation's energy security, but it just makes sense, given the option, to choose the cleanest and most efficient vehicle that meets your needs if you can afford it. And considering the alternatives, driving clean power now may be the only way to ensure our own driving future.